Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm having fun with this. The official cool guy knows how to get it done, and he's doing a shout out to Brad Garlinghouse. And I love what he's doing because I think Brad Garlinghouse should be at XRP Las Vegas. I'll make no bones about it. He's joking around about it, but I believe that Brad Garlinghouse, he can come for 5 minutes. That's fine. But he should come and say hello to everybody. I don't see any reason why not. I think it helps to prove the point that this is a decentralized community. Brad Combs of Digital Perspectives has put this thing together. Those guys didn't put it together. Brad Combs put it together, and so why shouldn't they come? It proves the whole point. You've got all kinds of sponsors. Why shouldn't Ripple be one of them?
Brad. Are you there? Hey, Brad, I think it's time you reserve a PJ to make sure it's ready to fly you down to Vegas for the XRP event in May. I don't see a conflict. It's a talk on fintech. We got Link2, Uphold, PolySign, accountants. I like XRP, and you use XRP. What's the problem? Now, our ladies may take issue if we go out partying and somebody wakes up on the roof on a mattress. So if you can't make it, maybe send David. Maybe do something, but somebody's waking up on a mattress, and it ain't going to be me. Come on, Brad.
It's not going to be me either, but I will buy you a margarita, Brad Garlinghouse. Check this out. The cool guy says, hey, Brad, you won't want to miss Digital Asset Investor waking up Saturday morning IV for hydration. And then he's got this one. I'm trying to remember one of these things. I did maybe it was the last video. Anyway, shortly after this toast, Digital Asset Investor was nowhere to be found. So these are all from The Hangover, this was when the guy roofied them all. Such a great movie. But yeah, Brad Garlinghouse, we're talking to you. Why shouldn't you come? There's no reason not to. Bring David Schwartz, Stuart Alderati. I'm hoping after this case, Stuart Alderati owes me to do a fireball shot with me. That's what I talked about that in an interview I did with ProCoinNews.com, who is the official sponsor of the Digital Asset Investor Hunting and Fishing Club, by the way. Just in, S&P downgrades First Republic Bank FRC rating to junk. We got some problems, folks. Now there's an issue with Credit Suisse in Europe. Watch this.
The problem is that Credit Suisse, by some standards, might be too big to fail, but also too big to be saved. It's not clear that, unlike the United States, the federal system has enough resources to engineer a bailout. And what they need certainly is more capital. And the question is whether they're going to get that capital or not. Otherwise, bad things can happen.
And then there was this breaking leak. Breaking leak. Claims Credit Suisse has appealed to Swiss National Bank and FINMA for help. This is no joke. Credit Suisse is on the globally systemically important banks list. The list only has 33 banks, with 7 of them being Chinese state-owned banks. Wowzer. And then BlackRock CEO, just in $10 trillion asset manager, BlackRock CEO says more bank seizures could occur after Silicon Valley Bank. And this reminds me
I was having dinner
of the Jim Rickards talk, which we've shown a bunch of times on this channel, about what he calls ICE 9.
Friend not long ago in New York City. We met at a place called Oriole, which is in Midtown. My dinner companion that night was a senior advisor to BlackRock. As you may know, BlackRock is now the largest asset manager on the planet. It directly manages $5 trillion in assets, and it oversees another $11 trillion through its Aladdin platform. That means one firm controls more money than the GDPs of China, Russia, and Japan combined. Anyway, my dinner companion happens to work directly for BlackRock's CEO. As we nursed our white wine and the evening wore on, she let something slip. If I remember her words, she said something like, "They want to tell us we can't sell." What was she talking about? Who was she talking about? I placed a few calls, first to my contacts in Washington, then to a few people on Wall Street. Soon I was on a plane for a series of meetings to London, to Geneva, back to New York, then down to South America. As I began connecting the dots, a pattern emerged. It revealed a network of more than 189 individuals positioned inside the world's major financial institutions. Some of them hold senior positions inside the IMF, World Bank, and every central bank in the G20, including our own Federal Reserve. These elites share one vision, and they're about to make it a reality. That vision is one world order, one world taxation, and one world money.
All right. I'm not going to play the rest of the thing, but you should go and watch the whole thing. He later says that what his BlackRock contact told him is that they want to label BlackRock as systemically important. And that way, in essence, BlackRock would be an organization where if with all those assets, they would be able to control them all. Okay? Well, look and remember, this is what they're saying about Credit Suisse is on the globally systemically important bank list. Okay? Look at what happened when they in the last few days in the United States, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, Silvergate Bank, where did all the assets go? The assets have flowed to the systemically important banks. BlackRock, I'm assuming, either is or they're putting it on the list. JP Morgan, Bank of America, all those would be systemically important banks on the list that would happen to be ready for a transition to a new world order. Creepy. Okay, here's another clip with John Deaton and J.W. Verrett that I wanted to show you.
What do you think that if Ripple were to get an outright win, do you think that would slow? If Judge Torres comes in and just rejects the SEC's theory, because, as you know, the SEC didn't necessarily limit it to just specific transactions that Ripple said and said that specific offering and sale was a security. But with this, the token itself embodies all of the efforts and promises and inducements Ripple made, and XRP itself represents a common enterprise and also, the expectation of profits. If she just flat out rejects their theory, and do you think that would be a big slowdown? Or do you think Gary's just going to say facts and circumstances and move on to the next one?
That would be a big win. That might slow him down. I think if it's more of a win on the fair notice argument alone, because you can see a judge seeing an easy way to kind of resolve the case, just focusing there. That would obviously have a lot less implications for all the other follow-on cases. And I think the SEC would be unlikely to challenge that. If they lose on that, it doesn't cause precedential issues for them in other cases, so they might just let that lie. But if it's a bigger win, then the SEC is going to quickly appeal it, and they're certain to appeal it. So in some sense, if you're a Ripple holder, you almost want an XRP holder, because they're very different. If you're an XRP holder, you almost want a very thin win. You want a win on fair notice alone, I guess.
That's an interesting take right there. Now, let me show you two interesting things. This is Meta Lawman. I've been showing some of his tweets here recently. Well, Digital Perspectives had him on and listen to what he had to say.
And I think you and I talked about it last time. What happens if Ripple wins round one at the trial court, or wins to a degree that there's a determination that XRP trading now is not a security? Then it's on to Coinbase and Gemini and the rest of them. Are you going to relist XRP, or are you going to wait for the Second Circuit Court of Appeals? Well, if you think about it, Ripple would be unique. It would be the only token that's got a declaration from a federal judge that it is not a security. So in my mind, it gets hard to not list it, because none of the other tokens you have on your platform at fill in the blank exchange have that seal of approval of the federal judge. I think it tips things dramatically, even though the SEC would come out immediately, say, we disagree, we're going to appeal, Judge got it wrong. Here's why, whatever. The fact remains that an unnamed exchange may be listing 200, 300 tokens. One of them has a judicial determination. It's not a security. One of them that's not listed has this judicial determination. So there's a really, really good argument that it should be changes.
Now, listen, honestly, I think we're trying to look at both sides, too. This thing could go to distance. It could go in favor of the SEC. And there's 3 more years of global adoption and no U.S. adoption. So I just want to, level a playing field out there.
Yeah, that's right. And the people.
All right. Now, he had another clip. Remember when the Attorney General up there in New York said that Ethereum is a security in that lawsuit? This is very interesting. You got to hear the whole 6 minutes. So I'm going to play it. Here we go. You want to see just how shady our government is now? Watch this.
For a lot of reasons, one of which is this thing in New York could be on a very fast track.
Yeah.
What happened there is very, very suspicious.
Now, ask yourself, how does this guy know all this stuff while you're listening to it?
They used one of their investigators. Is it all right if I talk about that
Absolutely.
case?
Absolutely.
So what happened was the New York AG tapped one of their internal investigators who works in that office, and they were told, go open an account on KuCoin and see if a New York resident can open an account, trade, because that would be violative of New York law. Sure, because you have to have a bit license to engage with New York residents. So I don't know how he managed to do it, the investigator, but he did. And so he opened an account on KuCoin, which I think is headquartered in the Seychelles Island. Here's the interesting part, Brad. There are 700 tokens listed on the KuCoin exchange. This investigator was told to buy Ethereum and as well as the Doquan Terra Luna.
Yeah.
But Ethereum. Wonder why that was. There's 700 of these. He was told, go buy Ethereum, buy it, sell it, so you can say, I've traded it, I'm a New York resident, and then we'll file a lawsuit. And then here's the other tricky part.
That seems like almost like entrapment.
KuCoin did not respond to a subpoena issued prior to the case being filed. And my guess, total guess, I haven't seen anything from KuCoin about this case. Not on their Twitter account. I haven't seen it. They didn't respond to the subpoena. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the New York Attorney General strongly suspects that KuCoin's not going to defend the case at all. And that the AG can go to a court in New York and say, we want an injunction, giving us everything that we've asked for.
In other words, this is the way our government is operating now, is that they prey on weak companies or individuals that they know can't fight back in order to get court rulings, and it's only because the people don't have the wherewithal to fight back. And that is like the mafia, folks. This is terrible.
That Ethereum is a security. And that can happen quite fast, way, way before there's any trial in Ripple. And I believe there's a possibility, I have no evidence, this isn't a rumor, this is James Murphy's speculation, that the SEC was embarrassed with what was happening in the San Diego federal court case, where they had to say, we haven't decided, or else Fred Rispoli has then a legitimate case that's going to go forward if the SEC's security. So they were stuck and had to say, we haven't made up our mind, therefore let's dismiss this case. Meanwhile, at about this same time, the AG starts this investigation, tells the investigator, go buy Ethereum so that we'll have a premise for a lawsuit against the defendant who may not even show up to defend, and we can get a declaration that it is a security. Well, this makes John Deaton's effort in signing up Ethereum holders extremely important, because he could be the only one there if he intervenes on behalf of. Last I heard, he said he had 1,000, who had signed up. There may not be any KuCoin.
So in other words, the New York Attorney General would get an automatic win if KuCoin doesn't show up, but because John Deaton has inserted himself into the case, they'll have somebody that shows up so that they can't get the outright win. That's the way I understand that as a non-attorney.
Might just be John Deaton, which, I see this stuff happening and I think to myself, does John Deaton literally have to do everything, for this crypto community?
That's a good question. Where's Perry Ann Boring? Where's the Blockchain Association? Where's all these people? They're supposedly these industry representatives.
Thank God he's a Marine through and through and will take on any fight. I don't know how he has the time, but, kudos to him. I'm going to do personally everything I can to support him. But I'll tell you what, that New York AG case is extremely suspicious.
Well, I appreciate you shedding light on it. And it does feel suspicious. And when you talk about think about the idea of Ethereum, everyone's saying it's decentralized regardless of understanding that JP Morgan's got a huge hand in this in the backside of it. Who shows up? Like, to your point, outside of John Deaton, I mean, is it consensus? Is it Joe Lubin? Like, who is actually going to show up? Is it people from the Ethereum Foundation that are going to show up? Because if they do, now they're representing it. And that even makes more to the point that it's actually a security because you're there. So it's.
Well, Brad, that's a fantastic point. Certainly occurred to me. You would think that Vitalik and Lubin and the foundation understand what's going on. I mean, their entire lives will be changed if the United States, if New York says it's a security.
Yeah.
So you would think their inclination would be to run into court immediately and to stop it and intervene in the case. But you make a great point. You really are thinking things through like a lawyer. There's this risk of appearances of, see, it is centralized. These are the guys who run the show. And, it's a security. They're promoting, whatever. It's a two-edged sword and a tough decision. But ultimately, I cannot see how you don't take some action when the implications are huge for them and for every single project built on the Ethereum network.
Wow. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that is an unbelievably shady outline of what these people in the New York attorney, what all these legal people in our government are trying to do. Because none of that, nothing in that sounds like any kind of good faith or an allegiance to the law. It all sounds like having a political agenda and trying to satisfy that political agenda with all sorts of tricks and end arounds. I mean, it's literally like The Sopranos we're living through.